WrestleMania is just 24 hours away. We've got more leaked images of the WrestleMania stage and set, plus the Hell in a Cell structure that will be encasing Finn Balor and Edge ahead of their match on WrestleMania Sunday. John Cena is going to be wrestling an opening, kicking off WrestleMania weekend against Austin Theory. We've got more details on a variety of opponents he could have been facing at certain points throughout this entire process. An update on Matt Riddle's status with WWE ahead of WrestleMania. Carmella, what's she doing now that she's off WrestleMania? And promotional material confirms her original plans for WrestleMania. Sami Zayn talks about possibly being in the WrestleMania main event. Vince McMahon, is he back on creative? Well, Bruce Prichard has had his say. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman talk about the Bloodline storyline. Shawn Michaels gives an update on William Regal's role in NXT. Speaking of NXT, NXT Battleground has been officially announced with an interesting time and date that the pay-per-view will be taking place, and the New Day reunite to train a WrestleMania sponsor. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. Let's start off with WrestleMania 39 taking place on April 1st and 2nd. Photos and videos of the stage design have been shared on social media. As previously reported, the stage is getting a Hollywood Awards look, with the staging featuring the black and gold color scheme of the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood logo. Images of the stage as it comes together have now been leaked on social media. We can get them up on the screen right now, and they'll continue to play as I continue talking. But definitely, it looks like this very big, grandiose Academy Awards-esque kind of feel, doesn't it? It was recently reported that WrestleMania 39 has already exceeded the ticket sales for the 2022 edition of the Premium Live event. The big numbers don't stop there either, though, with WWE Senior Vice President and Head of Global Sales and Partnerships Craig Stimmel also revealing that the event has earned $20 million in sponsorship revenue, a record for any WWE show ever. In the same report, Stimmel teased that one sponsor will be incorporated via a blurring of the fourth wall between what home viewers and the live audience will see, and that a match sponsorship was also planned for the event. Now, maybe we've got a hint about that later on in the show. Also, as I mentioned, we've got some videos of what the stage is going to look like, as well as what the Hell in a Cell is going to look like. So let's get into those videos, starting with the WrestleMania set. Certainly what was interesting about the Hell in a Cell there is yesterday it was reported that they'd gone back to the original Hell in a Cell, and whilst they've removed the red colouring from it, it's not the original from 1997, which was a much smaller structure. It would appear that it's the more updated version, the bigger structure that first debuted in 2006 at Unforgiven. So the red Hell in a Cell is gone, but it's not the original, it's still the big one, but indeed it's better, much better than the previous red edition of the Hell in a Cell structure. Now John Cena, he's going to be kicking off WrestleMania weekend against Austin Theory, challenging for the United States Championship. Austin Theory ended up getting the spot, but according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, several wrestlers had been pushing to work with John Cena at WrestleMania. Dating back to last summer, there were top-level talent in WWE who were angling to work with Cena on the WrestleMania show. Fightful have been told that several talent that got wind of Cena being planned for WrestleMania and open to what will be his first WrestleMania singles match in front of a live crowd since 2018. At one point, there are actually people within WWE who were pushing for Cody Rhodes to face John Cena, even though by August it was pretty much well determined that Cody would be the one facing Roman Reigns. Logan Paul was considered for John Cena and even tentatively planned as of the fall, according to internal WWE documents. There was nothing on the slate for Austin Theory as of that point, but as of December, WWE had nailed down Theory versus Cena, and shortly after finalized Rollins versus Logan Paul, which of course is going to be taking place on night one. as is John Cena versus Austin Theory. Actually, what's actually fascinating too is that this year will be John Cena's singles match at WrestleMania will be his first advertised, promoted ahead of time in front of a live crowd since WrestleMania against Rusev. Yes, Rusev. Cast your mind back all the way to WrestleMania 31, and we're on 39. It's been 8 years since an advertised in front of crowds John Cena match has taken place. It's actually pretty wild to think of that is the case, and certainly a big spot for Austin Theory. Now, lots of people talking about Matt Riddle. What's his status ahead of WrestleMania 39? Well, a new update has emerged on the WWE status of Matt Riddle ahead of this weekend's WrestleMania 39 event in Los Angeles, California. Riddle was recently suspended for failing a drugs test back in December and hasn't been back on WWE television since then. On the December 5 episode of Raw, Riddle was attacked by Solo Sikoa, writing him off television for what WWE called 6 weeks at the time, but obviously it's been now way more than 6 weeks since that happened. A week later, Bodyslam.net reported that Riddle had been suspended and would be going to rehab. Riddle has now reportedly been out of rehab for a while, and his suspension has also been over for some time. In a new update from PW Insider Elite, there has been a creative pitch made for Riddle to make his WWE return. As of the report being released last night, Riddle was not in LA for WrestleMania weekend, but it was noted that there's still time to bring him in if the plan is for him to return either at WrestleMania itself or on the post-Mania episode of Monday Night Raw. The report did say the plan would be for Riddle to be brought back as a member of the Raw roster, which of course he was prior to his absence. There's been much speculation, including, according to PW Insider, talk within WWE about Riddle's tag team partner Randy Orton also making a return soon, but there's been no word on whether they'll come back together or individually. Orton has been out of action since back in May, recovering from back injuries that seem to have accumulated over the years. Of course, he underwent back surgery as well, and there is a feeling the Viper could make his return this weekend, either at WrestleMania or on the Raw after WrestleMania 2. Now, Carmella, she was originally going to be teaming up with Chelsea Green at WrestleMania, and WWE's kind of confirmed this as well. Carmella was pulled off TV for reasons currently unknown since March 20 and was pulled from the original lineup of the WrestleMania Women's Showcase 4-way tag team match, being replaced by Sonya Deville. However, Carmella has still been in LA this week doing all kinds of promotional stuff ahead of the event. A new report has revealed that said promotional stuff will include another pretty big role. According to PW Insider, Carmella will be hosting the SoFi Stadium set reveal alongside her real-life husband Corey Graves. The report also mentioned that Logan Paul was set to be involved in the reveal in some way that could involve some kind of skateboarding trick. Of course, he showed the first look at the cold open to WrestleMania last night, which is involving Kevin Hart. So again, it's currently unknown when this set reveal is going to be posted. Knowing my luck, by the time I've uploaded it, WWE will then post it. But there you go. Now, when it comes to her original plans, of course, it's clear that she was meant to be teaming up with Chelsea Green, and that's been revealed by the promotional material putting Carmella next to Chelsea Green. Sonya Deville actually reacted to this by posting a thinking emoji on Twitter, sort of saying, what's going on there? But it just goes to show that was the WWE plan all along, and obviously plans have changed because of Carmella's absence. Now, a lot of people have been discussing what is going to be the WrestleMania Night 1 main event. We know what the WrestleMania Night 2 main event is going to be, that being the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. But what about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos? That's what quite a lot of people want to see happen. On Thursday night, Zayn ran into BT Sport reporter Ariel Helwani at a hotel lobby in Los Angeles. Zayn was asked if he and his best friend were being given the coveted main event spot. He said, quote, "That remains to be seen," when asked if he had been informed of WWE's plans 48 hours before the Showcase of Immortals. Zayn said, quote, "I should, that's for sure, but I don't. We'll see." Helwani then referred to the match as the most anticipated tag team match in the history of WrestleMania since Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff at the inaugural WrestleMania. "It's insane," Zayn admitted. "If we do go on last, which remains to be seen, it would be the first time since WrestleMania 1, and it would be the first tag team title match of all time to main event. That's something." So, as of right now, again, it's still currently unknown. There had been rumours that it was going to be Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for more political reasons, i.e. they want to have a women's match main eventing at least one of the nights. They didn't last year. But as most people say, this is the match, the angle that on night 1 certainly has the most momentum, the most interest, and has had the most time invested into it. So surely it would make sense that Zayn and KO, they main event night 1. But as of right now, we still don't know. Now, also, as I mentioned last night, was what was released ahead of WrestleMania was the cold open of the show, narrated by Kevin Hart. You can go and check that out on WWE's social media channels. When it comes to tickets as well, we kind of touched on this earlier, but I do want to go into a bit more depth about this. The ticket sales have dropped for WWE, and the success, rather, of the ticket sales have dropped. According to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, who also cites WrestleTix on Twitter, quote, "This year's WrestleMania has now surpassed last year's WrestleMania in terms of tickets distributed as estimated by WrestleTix analysis of ticket maps. Both nights combined last year 130,166. This year, so far, 131,807. With staggering ticket sales figures, it's no doubt pleasing for potential buyers of WWE to hear, as continued discussion of WWE exploring strategic alternatives after WrestleMania 39. Many interested eyes are set to be fixed on Los Angeles in anticipation of this weekend's big event, but certainly a huge amount of tickets sold. Again, as of right now, most likely there's probably more to come. Now, as we get into WrestleMania weekend, there's all of these rumors about Vince McMahon. Isn't he involved in WWE creative? Well, WWE executive and longtime friend and colleague of Vince McMahon, Bruce Prichard, has addressed the rumors that Vince McMahon is returning to the creative team following his return to the company. Of course, Triple H currently oversees WWE creative as the company's chief content officer. He has been serving this role since July 2022, when Vince McMahon stepped away from the company. McMahon returned to the board of directors in January and currently serves as the executive chairman. Some have speculated that Vince McMahon will soon take his creative duties back. Speaking of the press box, Prichard confirmed previous reports that McMahon was indeed backstage at the March 6th edition of Monday Night Raw. Explaining McMahon's presence, Prichard said, quote, "He hasn't yet. He made it to one TV and really had nothing to say other than, great show, thank you guys. In that regard, he is busy working on the business end of things and has given us free reign on the creative end of things to handle it. I think we've done a pretty good job so far." But of course, it's Bruce Prichard. That's kind of what he does. Now, Shawn Michaels, in his media call ahead of NXT Stand and Deliver, was also asked about Vince McMahon, and he was asked, is Vince McMahon involved? Does he have any sway on NXT? Shawn Michaels said, quote, "He doesn't have any sway, at least right now. We haven't seen him. I haven't seen him this weekend. I've been out here since Monday doing the tryouts of NXT, which is another subject. It's WrestleMania. Vince is the one who built all of this. I understand the way everybody feels, but this is still the brand he built. For him to want to come out here and be part of the show, I think it's a perfectly natural thing. I kind of hope that he does. I would like to see him this weekend. I haven't seen him in quite some time, just to say hello. I hope, like Hunter and all of us, I hope he's proud of what we've put on here this weekend. It's been a huge success so far." So basically he said, look, Vince McMahon, he's not involved for now, which is kind of what everyone says. Now, the biggest storyline in WWE, of course, is the Bloodline storyline, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. And they've spoken up about kind of their insight and how they approach things when it comes to this storyline. And it's quite interesting, actually. Bruce Prichard, first of all, spoke about how they sort of do all this kind of stuff. And he, noting week to week that anything could change depending on reactions, emotions, injuries, and other outside factors. Prichard said, quote, "Even still today, we like to look at what is the end goal. Where do we want to be at the end of the story? What's the ending? And then work backward. When you look at the Bloodline story and integrating Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and now Cody, it's very deep storytelling. There were so many hints and things along the way that when you look back at it, you go, wow, I remember that meant this. You start putting the pieces together." And essentially, Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman have echoed the same thing, talking about their feelings in an interview with the Associated Press. Roman Reigns said, "When these ideas in real time started happening, it became a chain reaction, a domino effect. It's been like an onion peeling open left and right. These awesome opportunities and different rabbit holes to dive down, these different characters we've involved. Everything we're doing now and how it's displayed, the character work, the personality, the storylines, all of that information we're giving our fans. We're keeping everything as logical as we can in a wrestling show." And certainly it looks like it's going to pay off this weekend as the biggest match and one of the biggest main events in recent WrestleMania history. Now, I do want to talk about William Regal as well, of course, former AEW star William Regal, currently with WWE. And Shawn Michaels has discussed William Regal's possible involvement with NXT. Of course, Regal's a former NXT general manager. After leaving AEW, Regal made his return to WWE in a backstage role. Upon his AEW departure, though, it was believed that Regal was returning to his previous role in NXT, but that's not necessarily been the case. He's been backstage at every Raw and SmackDown taping. Speaking on the NXT Stand and Deliver deliver media call, Shawn Michaels addressed William Regal's involvement with the brand. According to John Alba, he said, "Steve's obviously a huge part of NXT and its origins. I will say this, at least for the immediate future, Steve's been doing more stuff with the main roster than he's been doing with us." So about that line, about training his son and working with NXT, doesn't really look like that's actually the case. Now, NXT also announced the next big premium live event they're doing, NXT Battleground. Shawn Michaels announced it, as I mentioned yesterday, on the NXT Stand and Deliver media call. It's going to be taking place on May 28 in Lowell, Massachusetts. Just so happens to be the same day as AEW Double or Nothing. What is quite interesting, you can see it right there, is that the poster features Bron Breakker and Carmelo Hayes, which is interesting because it had been widely reported that Bron Breakker was going to be called up to the main roster after NXT Stand and Deliver this weekend, whereas he's expected to drop the NXT Championship to Hayes. But if this promotional material is accurate, this maybe would imply and suggest that Breakker might be staying in NXT for a few more months before he finally transitions onto the main roster. Whether or not that's the case, we'll have to wait and see. Finally, the New Day have reunited for the first time in a long time, finally on screen. Kind of, and they've taken on a very special task, training some very special guests. Big E has reunited with the New Day to train some very new recruits at the Performance Center that you'll have to see to believe. The New Day is back together, and Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods have joined forces to help train some very special guests ahead of their WrestleMania 39 debut, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch Cinnamojis. In a video released on WWE's official YouTube channel, which can be watched online, the New Day come together to try and get the Cinnamon Toast Crunch Cinnamojis ready for their big debut. However, when they hit a stall in their training, Xavier lets Big E and Kofi know that the Cinnamojis are in fact cereal. It is at this point that the New Day decide to empower the Cinnamojis to do what they do best, cereal cannibalism. While a voice of reason, Woods remains grounded throughout to demonstrate that the trio is definitely in on the joke. The entire spot is hilarious and you've got to go and see it. But this could be the blurring of the fourth wall. This could be how they incorporate the Cinnamon Toast Crunch emojis and all that kind of stuff into a match, so keep an eye on that as we get closer to WrestleMania. But there you go, guys. That's your WWE news for now. I'm sure there's plenty to come today, so stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.